Hey guys, so for this month we are going to do Aranea. This has been asked of me a lot in the past of how I put on the armor and how I take it off. So I'm gonna go through each thing piece by piece and we're gonna get started right away. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna show is the helmet. You guys can see this is made completely out of poster paper, things kids use for like presentations in class and stuff like that. 2 sides each, and I just carefully glued everything as clean as I could. It's not perfect, but it's pretty thin. I took an X-Acto knife and just made creases and stuff like down here, just so it would like pop a little bit. So I don't know if you can see that, but like almost like blade-like. Oh, and something just broke. One of these little things here, and that is why I say all the time don't use hot glue. Anyways, might as well go through these. So these little rivet holding thingies, whatever you want to call it, leather cord, like black leather cord, and beads on each end that I just glued to it and just painted it all silver. And I just put it on where her helmet has those things. This here is all leather cord as well, just lining on. And these grills, this is all poster board, but the one with the foam, it's not really bendable, but I figured it was nice and light and stiff enough to do, so X-Acto knife that as well. EVA foam floor mats. I used kids' jigsaw puzzle, like the colored ones, on the ground so the kids don't hurt themselves type of deal. As you can see, I don't paint all of them, so like there's a blue part, maybe a camera shot might get it. I just made sure to paint all that black as much as I can. If you can see inside, this is a separate piece, this is a separate piece, separate piece, separate piece. This right here is one, that's one, that's one. These little blocks here I put as a platform so that it can just like kind of rest on my forehead, so it has something to rest on, but my face is not actually like touching any of this stuff. These little screw washer, whatever you want to call it, that's craft foam. These little rivets here are little googly eyes. I did not seal this one with Plastidip or anything like that. I tend not to anymore because it just costs a lot. I just paint a lot of acrylic paint, a lot of layers of it, and then I do coat it with the final gloss at the end, which is also acrylic. Just kind of see what I mean? That part that boosts where my forehead is. That's the helmet. Now the wig from Art of Wigs, I think it was Jarrus, but it's like a silvery, like a white silver. Arenea's hair is different in different lighting, so I don't honestly still to this day not know what color her hair actually is. Trimmed up, layered a bit more. A lot of them come pre everything. You do have to kind of like straighten it. Sometimes they're packaged in the bags for so long, and you might be one of those customers like me all the time who get it and it comes all bent up and warped, so you do want to straighten it. And what I do to style wigs after trimming it to the pieces that you have, I'll take the hairspray and I'll spray it on my fingers, and then I just kind of like wet my fingers in it, and I just kind of stroke whatever tips of where I want to bunch up, and that way it keeps it looking dry as possible so it doesn't look like wet, unless that's what you want. But I like to make mine kind of like an in-between, anime, but like still dry and looking whatever. Ponytail, see with the hairspray on there, it kind of like sometimes holds its shape no matter what anyways. But yeah, it's nice when it's dried. Put it on your head. You can see that there's some makeup still on there because when you use craft glue, just like put it on your face and you kind of just stick and hold, the sideburns on there, and that way it kind of just frames your face nicely. And that way, it also doesn't move around and all that stuff. It makes it a lot nicer than if you had them like flaring all out like that. which is not a bad thing. It's just something that I like visually more personally. When you do trim bits of wigs, do not ever do this or that. You always want to trim vertical with, you know, the thing. So if you're going to trim, let's say these bangs, you don't want to, you'd think that you'd angle them, but you don't. You scissor straight and then you just kind of trim it, like, you know, just like that. That way you don't get any bluntness and it looks more textured, it looks more natural, unless of course, once again, the character calls for a straight across. So that is the wig. All right, let's get to the main one. Let's take things off the way that I made it. Backwards, I think I did. So for the belt, all I did was take one of my old belts, and I literally had this belt since I was in high school, back when I still lived in Edmonton, and just use that as a base because it was cloth and it had the black, gray, black, coincidentally enough, which is what her belt's colors are. So it's like, I'm gonna use this because I'm cheap and I already have it. The rivets, once again, you know, eyeballs, velcroed. So basically, when I put it on and off, I just stick it through there. Because naturally, if you had it around your, you know, jeans or whatnot, you would have these slips to like stick them through. But since I don't, I'm gonna have to Velcro it. So see, there's the Velcro right there. And I'll just stick it there and it just hangs off my waist. This piece right here, her side cloth, whatever you want to call it, this is actually kitchen table mats that are multiple pieces. So, you know, there's one there, there's one there, one there, all from the dollar store. And I just basically hot glued them together as nicely as I could. Folded it over and hot glued it directly onto my belt. I should have sewn it, but it's held up so far. This piece of the banner, flag, whatever you want to call it, of the Dragoon logo, this was a giant t-shirt, a blank white t-shirt that I just cut up and used, outlined. I kind of just went whatever it looked like to me for the design, because at the time there was no official image of, you know, like a clear res image of the logo and the design, so I kind of just improvised and just drew whatever I thought looked nice. So I outlined it really carefully in fine Sharpie, which is stupid because it could bleed, but I was just super careful with it that I made it super thin. And for the colors, for the black, I just used more of the Sharpie. And for the red, the gold, and the silver, I took a really fine paintbrush, dollar store paintbrush, and just acrylic painted everything. Took a long time, but you know, some people could go as far as using an embroidery machine to make your designs or whatnot, fabric paints, whatever you want to do, right? I just went the route that whatever I had available to me. For the cut and frayed edges that I did, I just cut it with scissors and just held a lighter to it and just kind of burnt the edges a bit, just to keep things from fraying and just to make it look more rugged. You can see, you know, the table mats were, you know, layered, so you can actually see underneath, see all that crap. Nobody sees that, so just like that. And that is the waistcoat. For the torso, these shoulder pieces, they actually are held together by Velcro. This I just glued underneath to the collar piece. And this is one of those, you know, like costume, like punk wristband stuff, or necklace or whatever with the studs. Figured no one would see it, so I just stuck Velcro on one side and you can clamp it. Craft foam here, this tore, so I just, you know, used tape to tape it, but hot glue once again, and this kind of just clips onto this Velcro here. And this padding right here. This is like a shoulder pad that you can get at fabric stores, craft stores, whatever. But instead of using it on here, I used it for a cushion on here, just to give it that little bit of a boost. This is more EVA foam, craft foam, little pieces here, craft foam, just cut and layer. Lots of pieces into this cosplay, just double layers of everything. These are just those 50-cent craft foam sheets, little plastic studs, more googly eyes for rivets, just rivet, rivet, rivet. Acrylic painted, glossed. For this red, actually, I used Gundam model paint because I tried using all these other different kind of reds and I just didn't like it. It wasn't bloody enough. Oh, look, it already ripped. Hey, shitty. If I were to do this again, I would not use craft foam on something that is meant to support because it's just too thin. Something for details, sure, it's fine, but you know, it's like for these bladed parts actually, this is cardboard, and for the outer layer is also craft foam, and you kind of get like a little nice like organic look to it because I heat everything. Everything foam I always heat gun, and I pinch the edges just to make that nice cornered look to it, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. I've mentioned it all the time in my other tutorials, but that's how I do that. Oh, and another thing is on this shoulder pad, I put, you know, the rough side of Velcro just so that when it's on my shoulder, it kind of has that extra grip underneath. I don't have like a morph suit or anything. I didn't at the time. This turtleneck from H&M, super cheap. So, see that? Sticks pretty good, right? Just for that little extra bit of support. Here's the other one. I'm just gonna take it off. Oh, right. And I also have these bands here, which kind of just, when on your shoulders, just goes around the bicep, just to keep it in place as well. See? That's how you put the shoulder pieces on. Alright, so this got a little bit more complicated than it needed to be. Honestly, some of these parts don't need to be Velcroed. I tried to make it, I didn't know what I was doing. So this is how it came to be. So this neck collar piece would lift, right? And the chest piece, it actually comes apart like that. Right? So when I close all these things, the Velcro holds everything in place. So I kind of just lift, and the back here also Velcroed around above my waist. So when those three things are in place, it's stuck to my body. These wings made from an old black sweater of mine, and I burnt the edges with a lighter, and that's how I got these textures after I snipped them that certain way. Strips of puzzle piece foam, cut to shape, heated and painted black, and just glued directly on. And that's all that really is. The wings, whatever you want to call it, are attached to the collar piece as well, here. And these flowy ribbon thingy majiggers are also glued on directly underneath there as well. This spine, whatever you want to call it, in her original design, it's actually connected to the grill of the back of her helmet, but I did it so that it would be on my neck piece instead, so that when I had the helmet off, I would still have that spine piece, because I just really liked this. Like, this was a sweet design that I thought. Aranea is honestly one of the coolest Final Fantasy characters that I've seen them come up with for design-wise. So I wanted to make sure that that was part of that. Plus, you know, when it's on your head and you move around, swinging all over the place, which is cool. But I liked it on there. So I changed that, because it's my cosplay. So anyways, this part right here, the part that looks like chainmail, this is also table mat. It's kind of like those crisscross, what do you call it, hatching table mats, and it's completely silver, so I just ran over it with black acrylic, and it comes in a dark, it came out as a dark like gunmetal-y color, which worked really nice. I just randomly thought of that idea when I was in Daiso. It's like a Japanese dollar store. This right here held together by Velcro as well. More of that poster foam board. And here, see, this is paper right here. So when I bent it a little bit with a heat gun, it kind of like, whatever, you don't see that shit. This was just to help, because it would usually lay flat like this on me, but I wanted to give that little bit of a flare. So when the Velcro is on here, and that boost kind of pushes it out a little bit, and when I walk, it kind of just like moves with it. And that was the whole idea behind boosting that thing. Once again, craft foam rivets, googly eyes as well. That part goes on last when I have everything on. Or not last, but before the cloth waistcoat. This I originally had on because I thought that this collar would need support from my neck. Now I realize that even if that's how it turned out, that would be stupid because I'd be like choking myself. But I just left it on there anyways. If you undo this back part right here and lift, see, this is the part where I meant that I didn't need it to come apart. So this Velcro thing that I showed you before, I don't really need that because all I needed to do was really just take it off and just slip it over my head. I want to show you guys something. At the time, I was making, what's it called? Noctis's engine blade. I used like those kids' harmonicas and like little kids' toy trumpets and stuff, just for like little parts to make like the little gears and all that. These little boosts here for where above my shoulder blade, those are harmonicas, little toys, and I kind of just left it that way. I can replace it with foam just to make it more comfortable, but I thought it was funny. It still works enough to boost and nobody sees it. It's covered, right? But yeah, there are 2 harmonicas in my armor. To show you guys underneath, oh, and the spine part is held together by beads, like those cheap necklace beads that you get from the fair and all that. But I got it from the dollar store, and this is just those fuzzy wires that I put in place just to give it a little bit more rigidness. I also lined the sides with leather cord as well, just so when you're taking photos and you do kind of get a glimpse of the side, it kind of hides that red shiny bead. I could have used black, but I just grabbed red, I don't know why, in the moment, and it's red underneath. So here is that mat I was talking about here. See, the puzzle pieces are here. Everything actually comes off. See how like everything's Velcroed? So pack, everything is just glued and Velcroed, and it's super unnecessary. If I ever were to travel, I have the option of taking everything apart. One thing though is that this little neck area, my head will not fit through it. So what I did was Velcro again. This one's actually necessary so that I can just take it off and put it over my head. Back around my neck, and then just redo that. I'm not going to put it on all the way, but just so you guys have an idea. See, put it on. Just do the back. A little shoulder boost will help keep it in place. Shoulders strapped on here, on the bicep, and everything just kind of works really nice. So that's that. You got the shoulders, which I showed you already. You got the elbows. Basically for the elbows and the knees, I just took, once again, dollar store, these skateboard knee pad things, you know, for little kids and whatnot. Well, I had to get a bigger size because I'm not that small. And it's a good way to just save a lot of time. But now the way that I do things, it's about the same amount of time, even if you were to make it yourself. But it is more comfortable because there is padding and whatnot. And I just made everything out of craft foam, googly eyes craft foam. And they just kind of go on your arms, both on your arms like that. The wrist guards also, they all came in a pack, right? It was just like wrist guards, elbow pads, knee pads in a little sack. I think it was like $4 or something like that. Why not? Already has all the Velcro straps in there, so that saves time doing all that nonsense. Shove this in there, put it on the way that you would. Right, this is craft foam, craft foam. So I basically just made the design of whatever it was and just hot glued it directly on. Take your gloves, which are just shitty winter gloves, painted some black over it just to make it seem like it's connected. These are all craft foam pinched, the same as how I did the claws for Zinogre. I made these first, but I used the same technique on Zinogre. Put on the gloves before you do up the straps for the wrist guard. All right. Shove your fingers through there. Let's do this up properly. Slot it. Right. There you go. For the glove gauntlet part, that's the idea of what I did there. It's all craft foam. I heat gunned it, pinched it, and bent it so that it holds into shape. All craft foam, EVA foam. The same boosting thing that I did on my forehead for my helmet. Lots of rough Velcro just so it sticks on this crappy glove just a little bit more. And basically all you do, since it's a fuzzy glove, this rough Velcro just kind of sticks naturally to it. And this existing strap is where this boosting little part goes, and it just goes right onto it. And now I got like this solid thing. Right, it works out quite nicely. So yeah, it's just some things that I came across going through the store and just like, that could work with this, with that. As I go along and figure out the costume and the design, and I'm just like, this works out perfectly. That's how I came about that. And those are the gauntlets. For the thigh parts, this I didn't use any pads thing, it's just straight straps of Velcro. Right, it just goes straight across on both the top and bottom of it. So this triangle part actually points down. Velcro it all together right there. And the knee pads. Knee pads, this is part of that skateboarding kit. Undo it, right, and then just kind of wrap it together. Right, and then you got your knee pad. So that's that. Shin pads, same thing. The straps going across. Just pure craft foam sheets. Super flimsy. See that? Rivets are googly eyes. Same idea. Just stick it on. Strap yourself in. On each side. Right? Knees, thigh, and you got your legs. That's all there is to it. For the feet, these are my old, what are these, Converse shoes. Oh no, they're Adidas that I decided to use and just dress up in all craft foam pieces. See, like all craft foam. Covering up the tongue right there. Added some studs. Painted it red because it's originally black. For the lace holes, I just added more studs. That's pretty much the feet. Those are my feet. And the only thing I have left that I don't think I covered was the pants. So like I said before, morph suit, I didn't have one yet. The sweater, turtleneck just to hide my neck a little bit more. And these are just tights. Forever 21 in the women's section. In my opinion, wearing tights is just better because it hugs better. You know, things aren't baggy. Right now I'm doing the Hero 40, or Darling in the Franxx Hero. I got a cheap bodysuit for it and some parts that just aren't tight enough, but it's also because it was a cheaper one. I'm sure you can find nice suits elsewhere, and especially nowadays there's lots of different places you can get suits with patterns and all that. But that's what I had to work with, and I think I covered pretty much everything. Yeah, I think I did. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you got any questions, don't be afraid to ask me, message me, whatnot. If there's something that I missed that you wanted me to cover, let me know and I'll tell you directly. But there is the breakdown for Aranea for the month, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I love you guys, and I'll see you next month.